Why don't onions ever get lost? Because they always find their roots. Welcome to Farming Know-How, your go-to channel for all things farming. Today, we're diving into the world of onion farming, a venture that's both rewarding and, dare we say, quite appealing. If you find value in our videos, do give us a like and hit that subscribe button, it really helps us grow. Stick around to become an onion growing expert, and let's unravel the layers together. Onions might make you cry, but growing them shouldn't, so let's start with the first step, sowing the seeds. When it comes to growing onions, timing is everything. You'll want to start your onion seeds indoors about 6 weeks before the last expected frost. That's usually around late winter or early spring. As for the location, onions are like that friend who loves to soak up the sun. They need at least 6 hours of sunlight each day. So find a sunny spot and let's get sowing. Now let's talk soil. Onions aren't too fussy, but they do prefer a well-draining soil enriched with organic compost. A pH level between 6 and 7 is the sweet spot. If you're thinking, what on earth is pH? Don't worry. It's just a measure of how acidic or alkaline your soil is. You can easily test it with a simple kit from your local garden center. When it comes to planting the seeds, you'll want to create shallow trenches about ½ an inch deep. If you're not good with measurements, that's about the length from the tip of your thumb to its first joint. Easy, right? Next, sprinkle the seeds along the trench. Try to space them about 1 inch apart. This might seem like a lot, but onions are like teenagers. They need their space. Once you've sown the seeds, cover them lightly with soil. Don't press down too hard, just a gentle pat will do. Then give the area a good watering. Not too much though, we don't want to drown the little fellas. And there you have it. You've successfully sown your onion seeds. And now, you wait. But don't forget to keep the soil moist. Remember, onions are like Goldilocks. They don't like it too wet or too dry, just right. And that, my friends, is how you sow onion seeds. It's really not as tear-inducing as you might have thought, is it? Remember, just like us, onions also need their personal space to grow. Now that the seeds are in their cozy soil beds, it's time for us to ensure they grow up to be strong and healthy onions. Just like a newborn baby, your onion seeds need tender, loving care. They'll need the right balance of sunlight, water, and soil conditions. But don't worry, it's not rocket science, it's just onion farming. Let's start with watering. Now, onions are not big fans of waterlogged soil. It's like wearing wet socks all day, not fun. So, you'll want to water them just enough to keep the soil moist, but not drenched. Ideally, a light watering every couple of days should do the trick. Now let's talk about sunlight. Onions love basking in the sun, just like a beachgoer in the middle of summer. They need a good 6 to 7 hours of sunlight each day to thrive. So make sure your little onion babies are planted in a spot where they can soak up all those glorious rays. Finally, let's discuss soil conditions. Onions prefer soil that's well drained and rich in organic matter. It's like their version of a 5-star hotel. So consider adding compost or well-rotted manure to the soil to make it a welcoming home for your seeds. Also, keep an eye on the pH. Onions prefer slightly acidic to neutral soil, with a pH between 6 and 7. Too acidic or too alkaline and your onions might throw a tantrum. But remember, just like with people, every onion is unique. Some might need a little more water, some a little less sun. It's all about finding the right balance for your specific crop. And there you have it, the basics of nurturing your onion seeds to maturity. It's a labor of love, but the end result is worth every drop of sweat and every speck of dirt under your fingernails. Think of it as a day at the spa, but for your onions. While we love our onions, there are pests and diseases that love them too, but not for the same reasons. And so, we find ourselves on the battlefield, defending our precious bulbs from the onslaught of pests and diseases. It's a game of chess, really. Each move we make in this game is crucial to ensure our onions grow healthy and strong. Among the most common culprits are onion flies and thrips. The former is a little critter that lays eggs at the base of the onion plants. When the larvae hatch, they start munching on the onions, causing them to yellow and wilt. Now, to outsmart these pesky flies, you can use sticky traps or insecticidal soap. Consider rotating your crops too. This throws off their scent trail and confuses them. On the other hand, thrips are tiny insects that suck the life out of your onions by feeding on the sap. They leave behind a silvery trail on the leaves, which is a telltale sign of their presence. To combat these sap-sucking pests, introduce beneficial insects like ladybugs and lacewings into your garden. They love to feast on thrips. In the world of diseases, onions have a few nemesis as well. Downy mildew and pink root are among the most common. Downy mildew is a fungal disease that manifests as fluffy white patches on the leaves. To prevent this, ensure your onions have plenty of air circulation and aren't overcrowded. For pink root, a soil-borne disease that turns the roots pink and stunts growth, crop rotation and using disease-resistant varieties can be your best defense. And let's not forget the importance of good watering practices. Overwatering can lead to root rot, while underwatering can stress the plants and make them more susceptible to pests and diseases. In the end, it's all about balance. A well-tended onion patch is the best defense against pests and diseases. Remember, a healthy onion is a happy onion. And a happy onion makes for a satisfied farmer, wouldn't you agree? After all that TLC, it's finally time to reap the fruits. Or should we say, onions of your labor. Now you may find yourself wondering, when are these little bulbs ready to burst forth from their underground lairs? Well, it's quite simple really. You see, onions are a lot like teenagers. When they're ready to leave home, they make it pretty obvious. They'll start to yellow and fall over, almost as if they're throwing a tantrum. This is their way of telling you, hey, I'm ready to be plucked. So when you see about half of your onion plants adopting this dramatic posture, it's safe to say that harvest time has arrived. But wait, don't grab your pitchforks and start charging at them just yet. There's a right way to do this, and it's not quite as aggressive. First, you gently pull the onions from the soil. Be careful not to damage the bulb or the neck. This isn't a wrestling match after all. Once you've got your onions out of the ground, shake off any excess soil. But remember, we're not trying to give them a full-blown makeover here, so no need to wash or scrub them. The soil clinging to the bulbs will actually help protect them during storage. Next, you'll want to leave them out to dry for about 2 weeks. This curing process is crucial as it helps toughen up the onion's skin, making it less susceptible to rot. Think of it as a sunbathing session for your onions, minus the sunscreen and the cocktails, of course. After 2 weeks, your onion should be nice and dry. Trim off the roots and the top, leaving about 1 inch of the neck. Now, you're ready to store your onions. Keep them in a cool, dry place and they should last for months. And there you have it, your very own homegrown onions. You've nurtured them from seed to harvest, and now it's time to enjoy the fruits, or rather, onions, of your labor. So go on, make yourself a nice hearty onion soup, or maybe a tangy onion chutney. You've earned it. Before we wrap up, let's revisit the key points from today's lesson in onion farming. We embarked on a fascinating journey, starting from the humble seed, which we sowed into well-prepared soil, rich in organic matter. Remember, your onion's future begins with the care you take in this crucial step. We then nurtured our little seedlings not just with water and sunlight, but also with a whole lot of love and patience. It's all about creating the right environment for them to thrive, so don't forget to rotate your crops and maintain the right pH balance in your soil. Then came the challenge of defending our precious crop. We equipped ourselves with an arsenal of natural pest repellents and disease combat strategies because, in the end, prevention is better than cure. And let's not forget, we're not just farming onions here, we're also farming patience and resilience. Finally, we reached the glorious moment of harvest. We talked about the signs of readiness and how to properly pull, cure, and store your onions to get the best out of your hard work. So there you have it, the life cycle of an onion from seed to harvest, all in the comfort of your backyard. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as I have, and remember, practice makes perfect. So don't be disheartened if your first try doesn't yield the perfect onion. Thank you for tuning in to Farming Know-How. Remember, the only tears we want you to shed are onion tears. Until next time, happy farming.